Yes, thanks for staying with us. Time to turn our attention to bowls now. Of course, here in South Australia, a couple of very special guests made their way into the studio. Talk about Jackie Kelly, who's the president of Bowls South Australia, and Margie Fay, who's the South Australian Northern Territory manager of Good Sports. Ladies, thanks for your time.
Thank you for having us.
All right, perhaps if we start with you, Margie. Bowls SA was announced as the national winner of Good Sports 2015 Leadership in Sport. A pretty big award. I mean, 2014 the AFL, and 2013 the NRML, the NRL. So they're in a fairly prestigious group.
I think so. They're up there with the big league, the big players, and you know, it's really testament to the work that they've put in to make a difference in their sport right across the state, and actually put themselves forward within the broader sports system as leading the way around trying to make some positive change.
Margie, take us through the framework in which Good Sports operate and encourage all sports to operate within, and how then they're selected for the award we talk about.
So the Good Sports program aims to reduce harm caused by risky use of alcohol and other drugs, and to try to affect that change in the community, we work through sports clubs. So I guess we recognise the role that sports clubs play as a really positive and strong part of our communities. At the same time, we also recognise that sport can be the place where some of that risky behaviour takes place. So we work with the sporting communities to help clubs to make some changes and improve the behaviour of the members of their club around alcohol management policies, healthy. There's a little bit of healthy eating in there as well, safe transport policies, so duty of care, making sure we look after people, keep people safe, and really overall create some really positive sporting environments.
Jackie, the award to Bowls SA, what does it mean?
Well, we're very proud of it, and it's fantastic actually, because the Good Sports program fits in to what we're trying to do those very things that Margie just mentioned. You know, we have heat and inclement policies and making people responsible, remembering that it's not only bowlers that go to bowling clubs, but we have a lot of social bowlers, and we are trying to make sure that we've got the best policies in place to protect whoever visits.
You know, over the journey we've spoken to so many bowlers, both some more active than others, all shapes and sizes, and I think part of the attraction to bowls is the social side of it, which more times than not does include a drink at each end or whatever it might be. So letting them understand how important it is to not go that one step too far, I guess, is an important part of it.
Oh, it certainly is, and in fact social bowls is growing very rapidly, and that's the challenge for bowls, to see how we cope with it and how we bring those people into the fold and how we challenge the competitions.
There's 220 clubs for bowls, I read, that have joined the Good Sports program, and there's still obviously more to join. What's the benefits?
Well, I think they speak for themselves, really. The benefits are that you have people that can actually drive home safely if they're going to be driving home, or that they make sure they've got a safe way of getting home. And in that, of course, we've got a smoking policy so that people are not causing anything that's detrimental to other people's health. It also, I think, socially stops damage being done within the clubhouse or out on the green. There are some of the things,
And I think, Marie, a lot of the clubs would like to implement these sorts of strategies, but are unsure where to start. And I guess you give them as we mentioned the word framework, but you give them a template to work with. And also, I think when it comes from a third party, it's almost easy to introduce because it comes from outside of the club.
Yeah. And I think especially in sport, if you think about licensed venues, and a lot of sporting clubs are licensed venues, but they're not publicans. So they're often friends and family of the people that they're serving alcohol to. And it can be quite challenging for them to moderate the behaviour and actually implement codes of conduct and rules without feeling like they're going to step on toes and upset people. So we really encourage people to, clubs to have the resources. We provide resources so they can share their messaging in really public places. So instead of them saying, we don't want you to do this, we can say, we have these set of rules, we're a good sports club, this is our rules of behaviour and this is how we operate. And it makes it much easier for them to share that message.
And can Good Sports as an organisation look at previous winners like the NRL or Central AFL and now Bowls SA, look at them and see the improvements along the journey?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've got some fantastic results of research that's been conducted into good sports clubs. over 3 years, and the results there were really amazing around the percentage of members in those clubs who had significant reductions in risky drinking behaviour, and the harm caused by that drinking behaviour as well. So the results are that the program really works, and I think sports are really keen to jump on board. We don't have any problem really selling that message once we get the chance to talk to clubs.
Jackie, have you seen the change? I mean, the framework, working within the framework, made it easier?
Absolutely. Look, I was saying to Margie before, when we first received on Kangaroo Island, I was playing golf, when we first received a visit from an officer of Good Sports, we all thought, oh, what's this all about? And, just further restrictions. Well, actually, I think every sports club on Kangaroo Island belongs to Good Sports. And furthermore, everyone that did the training, the initial training, are just absolutely willing to go on to do the next stage and the next stage. And out in the bowls club, we're seeing that it's the persons that have done the training that are actually manning the bar. And so there has been significant changes.
Has there been much pushback from participants within clubs in various sports, either from bowls, Jack, or from other sports in the journey?
All.
No,
not at all. Yeah.
Good folk over there in Kangaroo Island, mate.
That's right,
They're a bit more sensible than the people over here. Maggie, I want to ask you, South Australia, the Northern Territory, you've got to manage both.
Yeah.
Are there different dynamics?
Yeah, there are, and I guess, my main message though is always to focus more on what's the same. So sometimes we let what's different get in the way of being able to put in place some improvement and change. And when I first started, that was some of the messaging that was coming out of the NT, was that they had a really embedded drinking culture. Clubs really didn't want to know about this program. I haven't found that at all. So I really think it's about how you approach clubs and what's the message that you're selling. And what we really talk about is how can Good Sports help clubs to become the best they can be, and focusing on the environment, your members, and ultimately for an organisation like Bowls SA, they can now stand out there with NRL and AFL and say, we're leaders, we're making a difference, and the fact that it's sport maybe means there's more people going to listen to that.
And I think it's a really interesting strategy too, because I think mums, we know from an AFL perspective, mums are an influential factor in determining where their children go to play sport, and if they see a culture that fits what they want for their children, obviously it's going to be a great benefit to that sport.
Yeah, we had a pretty interesting advertising campaign earlier this year. I don't know if either of you have seen it, but I'll send it through to you. A sort of a 30-second clip with a couple of boys out in the backyard, generic footy jumpers on, mimicking behaviour that they'd seen, kicking the glass goal, winning the grand final, and then saying, let's get hammered, pretty much. All sorts of drunk behaviour, and the last shot is the mum coming and looking through the window and seeing that this is what her boys were doing, and then ask the question, is your club a good sports club? It's a beautiful little 30-second piece.
Well, you need Phil as an ambassador because he doesn't drink. He's a perfect ambassador.
I appreciate you saying that, Bob. Just quickly, because we've got about a minute before we have to go, Jackie, Bowls in Kangaroo Island continuing to grow?
I wouldn't say it's growing, but we've got 3 clubs, which is quite small for everywhere else, but we do have weekly competitions and we are keeping it going.
The social side of bowling in KOA?
Oh, I think the social side, nothing wrong with the social side,
No, a very social group over there, aren't
we
they?
are.
And the worst you can do is third. So, I mean, you should get over that. That's great.
All right. Jackie, Maggie, thanks for coming in. Time for us to go to a break. Stay with us, still plenty to come.